Hey guys, John here. So today we're just going to have some fun with the ARP and also making some acid patches with the shaper module. So let's just hang out, have some fun, and let's see where the night takes us. Okay, so we have a saw wave, which I always say is so uninspiring, but I also really like the sound of it. Okay, so we have an oscillator. Now, one of the first things that we can do is let's go to the ARP because we're going to need some ARP stuff going. And we need to kind of carve this thing out just a little bit. So even though we do have this TB, and we're going to check this out as well, but this is a cool filter, but I also really like this Anna Low Pass 12. It sounds really nice. So let's kind of bring it maybe down here and give it some depth a little bit. So something kind of like that. And we're going to adjust all these a lot and give it some resonance too. So now we're kind of at a good spot. And this is what's really nice about the shaper module. So we select this plus here, we go down to shaper, and we put this after the filter because it gets a really aggressive sound here. So now we increase this here. Okay, we're getting somewhere. And now once we start finding the right frequency to target, it really brings it alive. Right, so we have something kind of like this. Now, if we look at this envelope, we can use the same envelope to modulate this knob here. So we just drag and drop to this guy, make that connection. And we kind of do something kind of like that, which is kind of nice. And maybe drop down our sustain here. Oh yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so we have this going on. Maybe let's go and add an EQ in case we want to do something with that later. So we're gonna have this guy sitting here for now, and maybe do some compression here to kind of squash this, bring it up a little bit. We have something kind of nasty like that. So now the fun part here. So we have this basic sound that we're gonna kind of keep working on it, but this is what's fun about the ARP. So we're on the first ARP, and obviously we routed this earlier. So if we click this dice button, so now we have the randomizer. And if we're doing some acid stuff, we can click here, and there's a couple ones. There's acid TB1, acid TB2. If we select this first one, it's going to select these notes for us. So we have this now. I forgot to roll it here, which is kind of cool. And we can also go to in the pitch as well and go to polyportamento. Right, so maybe our tempo is a little fast. Let's go like 135, something kind of like that there. So now what's really cool is maybe this note's kind of weird. Maybe we can re-roll something again. So let's go back to our dice and hit roll again. And let's kind of refine some of the things that we kind of want or maybe that we don't want. So down over here, these notes, that's fine. We cannot worry about that. The silence, maybe let's remove these like that. Maybe 1 is fine and bring the strength all the way up. So we have 59% of no silence and then 41% of 1. So one of these blocks here. Maybe a little bit of release or something. So it's kind of hanging there. And something I like doing, especially with these patches, is putting a little bit of the dimension here on there. So this guy, the dimension expander. Now that's quite a lot, so we can bring this down maybe. So notice the difference without it. It's very dry, just kind of very synthesized. And then we turn it on. Kind of opens it up just a little bit. So with those little things that kind of make it nice. Okay, we have something like that, and let's go to our length here, and maybe 0.25 is a little bit too less. So let's go maybe, I think this might be okay, something like that, and put our strength all the way up to the top. So here we have 29% of it being 0.75, 55% of it being 1, and then 15% of this being 2 for the length. Kind of gives us a little bit more of that rhythm there. And then the octaves, I don't really, see, this is always a good decision, right? Because we're doing kind of like a randomness, but also a controlled randomness here. So we don't need +2 or -2, so let's bring both of those down. Let's bring our strength all the way up. And maybe, let's see how this sounds. That might be kind of cool, actually. It's kind of nice, something kind of like that. Maybe a little bit of shuffle, see what that sounds like. Okay, that's kind of cool. Velocity, this is fine for me. The ratchet, I don't really want to mess with that, so I'll put all these all the way down to none and increase the strength because I don't really want ratchets for this patch. So it's a 100% chance of none, no rain going on. And connect's kind of cool too if we bring this up here like that, which is kind of the classic sound, but maybe 33 is a little bit too much, so maybe we can bring this down to like 13. Now maybe the octave, we can probably go a little bit less, something kind of like that. Okay, that's kind of cool, right? We have some of that low end stuff there. Now, as far as more effects, so we also need two more things. We need some delay and we need some reverb. So delay here, something like that. Maybe cut off the highs and lows a little bit. That'd be kind of cool. And then also add some reverb. I really like the root-averb. Okay, so that's kind of fun there, and let's see, maybe go to our drums, and I do like if you have the Techno 2-pack, this big kit's actually pretty cool for something like this. So we have something like that, it's kind of making some cool sounds. So our first oscillator, maybe we want a second oscillator to mix this as well. So maybe we want something like a square wave, so we can click here and have a square. But this guy also needs to be routed to the shaper, and remember, this goes after the filter. And we need to send it to the same ARP. And together, let's see what those sound like. And maybe what does some unison sound like? And then let's see how that sounds like all together. And while these are really fun with this shaper here, so we're only going like, what, 80% on the soft. There's all these different algorithms of distortion that we can play around with. And some of them are actually really cool. Yeah, the devil one's pretty cool. See what the second one is. And yeah, so these are pretty cool. I mean, feel free to check out a lot of these as well. So we're going to go on devil for now. And it was also fun. So remember how we modulated this frequency 1 with our filter? What we can do as well is do the same thing with frequency 2. So now... So we have two of these kind of doing this, and now once we hit split, this gives us a huge stereo because we have the left and the right at the same time. And we can even modulate them different ways if we'd like to. See, that kind of sounds cool as well, because you have that almost that the really high-end stuff on the top. And then the drums on top of that. And then so we have something kind of cool like this. So let's kind of mute these both here and kind of maybe bring these kind of more accurately in the mix so we can bring this second one down and kind of see how these fit here. So that's kind of cool. So I'm thinking here in my brain, I'm like, okay, we have this kind of like this acid lead, and we can always change this any single time. If we go down to our ARP or randomizer, and then we can go to roll. one's actually kind of cool. Ooh. Maybe put one here as well. So maybe bring that one up like that to match. And maybe the octave is a little bit too much. I'm going to bring that one down here because I don't really want that one there. And let's see what happens if we keep it just in the same octave. So it's kind of cool, and maybe we can have like a bass kind of pumping like boom, and then the bass after the kick or something like that. That might be kind of interesting. So this is some of the cool parts I like about Avenger. So we have Oscillator 3. Might as well rename this one to bass. So we're going to go plus here, and this effect stack is going to be for the bass, and we also want a different filter for that. And maybe the amp is fine. Maybe we can revisit that. We'll see. So the first filter, we're going to send this to the second one here for this bass, and then for the effect stack, we're going to go to this guy. So let's kind of solo this here. So we have that. Actually, maybe we should do another amp. So let's go to the amp here, and then for this guy, where it says amp 1, let's left click and go to amp 2. So basically, we have a bass, but we hear that pitch modulation that we did before in the pitch section, this pitch 1. So we need to add a second one if we don't want that, and then select this to pitch 2. So basically, we're kind of having a knit saw wave going on with everything else. So what we can do, we can drop this down an octave here. And for our filter, I do like using the low pass Nexus 12. And maybe we can also send this to the ARP. But we're going to do a second ARP. So our first ARP is 1/16. So let's go to the second ARP and let's select this guy, maybe the second ARP here. So now we're going to this guy. So we don't really need all these notes here. So what we can do is right click. Let's maybe add an EQ if we want to, or maybe, yeah, EQ. And then let's go and add a compressor. Now compressor, let's bring this down here. And then for EQ, we can open this up. Maybe something like that, a little bit of high end. So we have something like that. So if we were playing this, so maybe I would remove these, just kind of go like that. So 2, and then something kind of like that to maybe make like some type of rhythm or something. And maybe a little bit of multi-band distortion for this guy. Let's solo this guy up again. Kind of make it interesting, a little bit of resonance. So now we can do something like the mixer again, right? So we can mute these ones here and then get the drums going. That might be kind of cool. Then we can bring in the second one. And what's awesome is we can go back to the first ARP, and then if we have these kind of parameters set up, we can go to auto dice. If we go back to here, and then go to our auto dice. So every time this pattern completes, we're going to have something brand new. Let's see. Actually, you know what we can do is see what this bass is looking like again. Maybe if we put this up an octave, that might be interesting. Maybe the first one. So let's mute this guy and maybe... Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So yeah, and then you can always put these stuff on macros. So if you're kind of liking something like this, you can grab this macro and then maybe find first where the lowest part is that you would like. So let's mute the bass for now. Because down there it kind of breaks down. That might be kind of cool. So we can drag and drop our macro here and then turn our macro all the way up to the top and kind of find where the limit is here. That might be kind of cool. So now we have our macro. And like I said before, let's see how the TB sounds. So let's go down to this guy and go to the TB. Yeah, a lot of these have some interesting sounds. We can even go to the low pass 18 and kind of same filter type-ish. Then with the bass. So yeah, that's just kind of fun playing around with some acid stuff. And keep in mind, if you always wanted to take these things out of your synth, right? So we have the FX1, we can click this here, go to aux1, the FX2, we can click this here and go to aux2, and then basically route your drums here, multi-out. If that's something that you wanted to do, you totally could. I click the master effects out and then assign slots to 1 through 12. And then we have that pretty much done. So if we go down to Avenger, and this is in Bitwig, by the way, it's going to be different year dot, add missing chains. And then you have all your stuff separated. Then you can process them separately. So yeah, that's just a little fun inside of Avenger. Now, this is kind of the things I'm talking about where you just practice stuff, kind of play around a little bit as well. You know, maybe focus on, we're going to do some acid stuff and kind of try to find that waveform, send different waveforms in there. Maybe you can even like do some weird sync stuff. And just kind of try to break stuff, right? Even go to like an LFO. Let's make this like a random one here, something like that. And maybe let's make this unipolar. Drag and drop this on the on the cutoff as well. And maybe just kind of do some random stuff like this. And if you're feeling fun as well, you can go to the master filter, turn this guy on, maybe go for a high pass. I don't know, maybe high pass 24, bring this guy down. Maybe whatever macro you want, maybe macro 3, you can drag and drop this guy here. And then and make some weird like high passing stuff if that's something that you're interested in doing. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. I kind of want to just hang out a little bit, make some patches, and see where we go from here. So kind of an interesting patch. I'm probably not going to save it though, but yeah, definitely try to experiment because sometimes you make some cool stuff. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes you make some weird stuff, but you learn along the way. That's what counts. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.